back to this channel, co-creators. It is Mystic Rain, your resident internet psychic medium and spiritual advisor, and today we are going to be talking about star children. Before we jump in, if you would like to get an astrology report, or if you would like to book some time with me for a spiritual hour or a coaching session, a link is for all of those things is in the description box below. But cool thing, I just recently found out that this channel is now eligible for merch. The thing is, I don't just want to create merch that you guys don't enjoy. So if you guys have an idea of things that you would like to purchase on a mug or on a t-shirt or on a hoodie, a design that you think would be cool, that you have a hard time finding other places, maybe we can make it here, okay? Maybe we could turn this into a group project, because Lord knows your girl does not have time to do it herself. And shoot me ideas if you have some on what you would like to see as cool merch so we can make it for you guys. I don't want to make something that you guys are not interested in. So let me know your ideas. So today, I thought it'd be really cool to start talking about star children because we are going to be seeing a whole influx of them be born. And so we are going to talk about them now so you have an understanding of what you're looking at when you see them being born, particularly when you start seeing kids that are exceptional and they are still in a stroller or a pram and you have no understanding as to why they are what it is that they are. So first, star children are what you normally hear referred to as a star seed. And these refer to our indigo children, our crystal children, and our rainbow children. So some of you may be familiar with that terminology. And so crystal children, indigo children, rainbow children are essentially waves of incarnations of souls that come in that are here to assist the planet and assist collective consciousness. Now, each wave's purpose shifts a little bit. The overall idea is that all of these souls are souls in service, right? And the majority of you that stumble upon this video are one of these souls. It would be very hard for you to get here if you weren't. Like energy attracts like energy, and you are probably stumbling across this video because it's a remembering for you of who and what you actually are. But rainbow children, indigo children, crystal children are just waves of souls that come in, and they come in at different times, and they come in different generations. And the reason why I'm not going to go over the specifics of the rainbows and the crystals and the indigos is because there is no real consensus in the spiritual community in terms of which one came first. I remember reading articles about this 10 years ago, and the consensus at that time on which wave of souls came first is not what you see written today. If you read an article today about rainbow, crystal, or indigo and trying to get an idea of which one of those things came first, it's completely different than what I read 10 years ago, which tells me that there is no real consensus about what it is. But essentially, these are different generations, right? So some teachings will tell you that the first wave of souls were indigo souls, and that the next wave of souls came after them were rainbow souls, and that the rainbows then went and had crystal soul babies, and that's how you got your crystal children. Some people say indigos came first, that rainbows were around the 70s, right? And that crystals were all the kids that the rainbows had. Some literature that you read say the rainbows came first, and that the indigos were people that are now the millennials, right? That they would be considered the indigos. Some people say that the crystals came first. So there's really no consensus, and so I can't tell you which came first because I don't actually know myself. But I can give you characteristics of each, right? So, indigo souls are the souls that have indigo auras, highly sensitive, highly psychic, highly empathic, and these souls kind of were helping to usher in a new wave of consciousness and the idea of togetherness and wholeness and this whole idea of we are all one, so on and so forth. And then you have your rainbow souls that came in with a different vibration, and their vibration was more of love and joy and happiness, and kind of the idea with those souls is that those were the frequencies that they were supposed to spread, right? And then the idea was that then we had our crystal children who come in with the vibrations of actual crystals. so that earth-like crystal energy, like actual stones. And that these people work well with crystals because they have the same vibration and resonance. But at the end of the day, all of those groups are the souls in service, and they are here to push forward the collective consciousness. And there's always a new wave, and there's always a new generation, and the generation that comes after the crystal or the rainbow or the indigo, because nobody seems to be in consensus of this, right? It will have a new name, and when it has a new name, I will be able to tell you what that new name is. But as far as I'm concerned, I'm aware, I mean, there is no name yet, and there's definitely not a consensus on what the name should be. However, I have realized a trend with these new babies, and I'm going to talk to you about them. So we are having a wave of souls that are coming after this Gen Alpha wave, right? So we have society, we have, your Gen X, your millennials, your Gen Z, and then after Gen Z, you have your alphas. But there is a wave after that, and this wave are babies that have either just been born, they're currently in the womb, or they are about to be conceived. This is the wave of new star children that I'm talking about that are on their way through as we speak. These children are going to be like this driving force. They're going to have very intense, fiery energy. They're going to be incredibly psychic, incredibly magical, and like magicians. These children are going to have the ability to influence energy that's around them, and they're going to have the ability to manifest a lot easier than it is for us. The reason being is every time you have a new wave, right? So when we had the crystal wave or the rainbow wave or the indigo wave, these waves come in to help lift the frequency of the planet and lift the frequency of the collective consciousness. So whenever they lift it, it makes room for the next wave to come in with a higher level of consciousness, because you can't have a wave that comes in with lower levels because it can't sustain itself at the new frequency of the planet. And so because the consciousness levels are raising up, we're seeing this new wave that's coming, and they're going to be, when I tell you, they are going to be all there. They're going to do things faster than what we've done it in the past. They're going to develop faster. They're going to communicate faster, speak faster, talk faster, move faster. Everything that they're going to do is going to be faster. I think it's also really interesting to see that they're coming in with this growth and this wave of technology that we are actually experiencing, that they're going to be the drivers and the pushers of like this new wave of technology, and technology is about to get real futuristic looking, and they are going to be a further catalyst for different things like that. They're coming in with a higher consciousness level than we currently have at this particular time. Now, the thing that I think is really interesting about these children, and bear with me here because I'm actually actively channeling while I'm talking, there's actually new information that's coming out that I wasn't aware of, is a lot of the children that we have now, so the current waves, so the rainbows, the crystals, and the indigo, a lot of their job, a lot of their task was to assist in sort of the ascension process and to help other people raise their consciousness. This new wave of people coming in, their job isn't necessarily to assist that process. Their job is to kind of be the pioneers and to keep it pushing. And the idea is people will observe them, and if they are inspired by what they see, then they will kind of act in suit. And if they don't care about what they see, then they're going to continue to do whatever it is that they want to do. But the thing is, with this new wave isn't going to care either way. Now, it doesn't mean that they're not they don't have empathy or they don't feel, because they do. It's just, it's not efficient. At this point, we have reached a level of consciousness where it's no longer efficient to try to help somebody get there. It's going to be a counterproductive process. And so these new waves are not here to assist in helping other people get there. These new waves are almost going to be examples of what you can do and what you can achieve if you choose to go there, right? And if you go to them for guidance or different things like that, they would be more than willing to share their wisdom with you and to teach you, but they're going to be examples of lives and realities that you can create. And so I say this because as you elevate in consciousness, you get more aware of the fact that you do have the ability to create your reality and that you do have the ability to move and manipulate energy. These souls that are coming in now already have the ability to do that. And so the thing is, their lives are going to look wild. So they are going to be people that either accomplish a whole lot of things or they destroy everything they touch. And this is really interesting because we're moving into a really precarious stage of consciousness levels where we could go either way because we have the knowledge and the tools that we need in terms of understanding how to manipulate energy in order to manipulate our reality. However, there is this level of immaturity that we hold in the collective consciousness here that may potentially prevent us from doing that correctly. And so because these new souls are incarnating as children, they're really incarnating with potential. And how these souls are guided will determine whether or not those individual souls reach levels of greatness that's inspiring to other people, or if they completely destroy everything they touch. And all of that is going to be in the home and the parental figures that they have around them and how they kind of grow up and how they develop. But they are all incredibly headstrong, incredibly willful, and they're going to be drivers of change, and they are really going to be here sort of disrupting any existing status quo that may be left over. And the interesting part about it is that it's not their intent to disrupt. They're not really going to be going out there with this intention to ruin everything in order to rebuild it. They're going out there by just simply being themselves. But because they are a higher level of consciousness, if they come across people that have not reached that level of consciousness and understanding, those people are going to be really intimidated by them, and that is where the headbutting will start to happen. Now, the reason for this is because the majority of these souls that are now coming in are not Terran. And so when I say Terran, I mean they're not of Terra, they're not of Earth, they're not souls that originated here. These are souls that are going to be star seeds in the truest sense of the word. They are coming in from other star systems, of other galaxies, of other universes. They are all kind of coming in. And so it's going to be this real collective job from all of them. They are all going to be very, very different. They're all going to hold very different ideologies. However, I sense that there will be a level of flow there anyway, because they are coming from an assistant or a higher level of consciousness. So they will have a better understanding of how to work together and kind of form like unions and different things like that. This is assuming that they are raised correctly. So I do think that within them, we're going to see a break off, a light side and a dark side. Not light and dark as in good and bad, just light and dark because I don't know what else to call it. You know what, let's call it, because I don't want you to get stuck there because that's not how I mean it. Let's call it purple and cyan. I don't know, magenta and cyan. There's going to be a magenta side and a cyan side because they're going to fracture off and kind of do different things. But each fracture is going to be equally as powerful. We are also, as a spiritual community, going to start learning about more star systems that we were completely unaware of. So one thing that I think we're going to learn about, and I don't know if it's going to be something that we're going to hear about like in the news, but the spiritual community is going to grow a greater understanding of it because this new wave is going to explain it more to us. or if this is information that's going to come from someone in the new wave. I don't yet know, but we're going to find out that we do have a neighboring star system. So we do have like a neighboring star, and we do have like neighboring planets. They're actually really close to our particular solar system. And a lot of this new wave is going to be coming from that. But we're also going to be hearing about other star systems as well. So for example, we hear a lot about the Pleiades, right? People always go on Pleiadian or whatever. We hear a lot about Arcturian. You'll hear some people say that they're Venusian. There are different systems that we already kind of hear of, that we hear people say that they're from, in terms of them being a starseed. There are going to be new systems that we're going to learn about in a spiritual community that people are going to start telling us that they're actually from, and they're going to be systems that we just weren't aware of. And so it's really just going to be new knowledge that's going to be downloaded into this particular collective consciousness, because more beings from other collective consciousnesses from other areas are going to be coming in with their knowledge and downloading it into ours. And so it's just going to be like a sharing thing, but it's going to be like this new wave of star children. So I want to go back and revisit what I mean when I say like souls in service. So souls that are in service are souls that have volunteered. They are souls that have volunteered to come assist in sort of increasing vibrations and planetary aspects. And you can be a soul in service anywhere. It doesn't necessarily have to be Earth in this sense, because we are on Earth, where you're going to be talking about the souls in service that have volunteered in order to come to Earth. And their job is to help the planet ascend, which means the collective consciousness of that planet ascend. But then their job too is also to dismantle and remantle. So in order to ascend, you have to break down paradigms, because that paradigm no longer serves the new vibration levels, the new frequency levels. So you have to dismantle it in order to rebuild it and build it back up again. And these souls are going to be dismantling it. It's just going to be a lot of new everything, right? Now, someone like me, by the time they're adults and they really put their foot in it, I'm going to be old, right? And but it's going to be oh God, I'm actually really excited. Because like it's one of those things that like I would live for something like that. But anyone, and I would say people that are older, so that older generation that's maybe somewhere around retirement, that have a harder time accepting new pieces of information or new ideologies, they are going to have a very hard time with it. A very hard time with it, because these souls are very headstrong and they don't care about sort of, well, we do it this way because that's how it's always been done. That means nothing to them. Or like, it's the status quo. That means nothing to them. It means absolutely nothing. And for them, they're going to do it their own way because they want to, because it's their prerogative. It's not even because they are trying to ruffle feathers or that they're trying to be rebellious. It's because they want to, and that's their prerogative. Now we have to understand, in systems with higher elevations of consciousness, you do what you want to do, and as long as you're not harming others, right? They keep the collective consciousness in mind, and they are a lot more free in their will than we are here. And so they are incarnating, still holding a lot of that energy. And also a lot of them will remember some of their past lives. So a lot of these kids are going to start talking like, oh, I remember when blah, 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 blah happened. And you're going to be like, what are you talking about? So anyone that has just given birth, that has a new baby, or will have one soon, if you notice things like that, it's because they're not going to be losing all of their memories, like how we lost all of their memories. They're still going to retain a lot of understanding, a lot of aspects of what self is for them and what that means, and a lot of their identity. They're going to be incredibly interested in the stars. They're going to be really, really good astrologers. Things in the sky will just make sense to them. I also suspect things that are any levels of space. So we'll probably see more space programs start popping up. More of those kids will want to be astronauts. different things like that, because they're going to be more in tune with what's happening in the planetary bodies. And they are also going to be more susceptible to full moons and different things like that. They'll be a lot more in tune with the sort of rhythm of the planet. So if any of them live near water, they're going to be more in tune with when the tide goes out and when the tide comes in, because a lot of them will actually have the ability to feel it. Because in places with elevated consciousness levels, there's also an understanding that they are in tune with the planet that they're on, with their host planet. Because, don't know if you guys know this or not, but Earth is also like a soul, right? Like it breathes, it lives, like it has feelings. She has feelings, Gaia. And so people from elevated levels of consciousness are more in tune with all of that. They're more in tune with their planet. They're more in tune with nature, because it all goes together and it's all part of the collective consciousness. And when they say we are all one, they're not talking about all people are all one. They're talking about all souls are all one. Whether or not the soul is in the form of a person, or the soul is in the form of a plant, or the soul is in the form of a planet, they're talking about it's all one. And so you keep all of the one in mind, and you're kind to all of the one, right? So they're coming from that perspective. They're going to be more in tune with the rhythm of the planet and of Earth. And so anyone that lives around areas that have lots of earthquakes, or they live around areas with lots of seismic activity, lots of volcanic activity, different things like that, where the Earth as a soul is more active, they'll be able to feel it. They'll be able to predict it. You're going to start hearing a lot of these young kids predicting earthquakes, predicting volcano eruptions. You're going to hear a lot more about that. And it's just because they can feel it. They're more in tune with it because they have higher elevated consciousness. And so anyway, this new wave, these kids are being born to people who have the ability to raise their consciousness, right? And so you can say that they're going to be born to like a crystal child, for example. They're going to be born hopefully to parents that have the ability to be more open-minded and more understanding of all of that. And in turn, that parent themselves consciousness level is also going to rise, right? And so they'll have the ability to touch multiple people. And if that continues, so everyone you touch, their consciousness goes up or whatever, then what you're getting is a worldwide, like planetary ascension process that's happening. And the ones that are being born to parents who don't have the ability to do that are the ones that may go magenta or go cyan, right? While the other one goes their way. So, because right now they're just potential. And so how you nurture the potential is how they turn out to be. Now, what I will say is every one of them is going to be born to somebody that has the ability to be open-minded. Now, whether or not that person chooses to do so is a completely different thing. But every soul that chooses a womb to come through is choosing to come into a situation with someone that has the potential to be open-minded and someone that has the potential to rise farther in consciousness, because there is no end to the ascension process. You're constantly going up, you're constantly leveling up, you're constantly evolving. It's a continuous thing. But they will choose someone that has the ability that's a part of that. But how you nurture the person will determine whether or not they're greatness, or they're one of the souls that is inspiring just to watch, or if everything they touch falls apart, because these souls are incredible manifestors. They have the ability to manifest everything because they're coming from higher dimensions where it's easier to do so. Right? So it's going to be easier for them to do things than it's going to be for us. And the people that have these kids are going to look at them and be like, wow, I remember when I was a kid and I wanted to do such and such thing. And I tried really hard to do such and such thing. And I couldn't do it. And it felt like everything I did, there was a wall in front of me and it just wouldn't work. my kid went and tried to do such and such thing and it worked for them, no problem. Like, what is that about? It's because they're coming from a higher dimension. So we don't actually have a word for that. I also haven't seen or heard other people talking about this. Maybe we can come up with a word for that. You think that would fly in the community if we came up with a word for that? What do you guys think that they should actually be called? Because I don't believe that there's a name for it. And maybe we can start a thing. Maybe we can start with, like, we can throw out names of what they should be called. What do you think they should be called? The previous ones were crystal, rainbow, and indigo. Crystal, rainbow, and indigo. What do you think the next ones are? What would we call that? I have absolutely no idea. But if you have any suggestions, leave them down below. But that's going to bring us to the end of this video. Before I let you go, make sure you check out the description box below. And as always, guys, I'll see you guys soon.